Hi, welcome back, LinkedIn family. So yesterday we met Shirin and Nicholas, and they talked about, where they came from. Now we're going to get into the meat of the subject. So turning to Shirin first, can you give me, or can you give our viewers there's a dictionary definition, I'm sure, but I'm more interested in the colloquial language that people would recognize regarding
Okay, so what do you mean by colloquial? Are you meaning what sort of symptoms they come up with, or?
Yeah, and what sort of behaviors? So if people don't know they have it, what are the things that a normal person would recognize?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, by definition, imposter syndrome is really the persistent lack of belief in yourself, despite knowing that you're perfectly intelligent and perfectly capable. Yeah. And I think this is what's really important. It's quite different from other situations. It's really about this resistant, persistent lack of self-belief or self-confidence in being able to do something, which then drives you into a sort of an anxiety spiral, so to speak. And when we're anxious, we often avoid. We often do all kinds of avoiding behaviors, which is procrastinator is one of them. Right. So what you often find is that people will, you might praise someone, so they don't really appreciate praise very well. So, you might find that you meet someone that sort of, you say, oh, that's a lovely dress. And they'll say, yeah, that's the old thing. Or they might say, oh, yeah, that was done ages ago. So, they dismiss a lot of their talents, or they constantly recheck. They're a constant sort of slightly microcontroller. I kind of like look at it from that perspective. So maybe constantly rechecking, but not actually really getting the stuff out. There's also this, and really it is about the idea that they've got to make sure that, for example, if you ask them to go for a job interview or you ask them to try something new, they will need to feel as though they need to get it right first time. So they almost have this idea that they have a natural genius, all right? Which is really interesting, because everybody's got to start somewhere. And they think they have to be a natural genius, or they have to be the expert. So they won't go and do things because they have to be an expert. There also are people that you find. Sorry?
I was just going to say a quick question, actually, because I'm going to be posting this on my channel and also on potency.world because we want women to recognize this situation and take charge and come to you or other coaches. What you've described sounds quite a lot like things I do. And I think most people that watch my channel would get the impression that I'm full of XYZ attribute. And when I hear you talk about it, I go, oh no. And in fact, before we started recording, I showed Shirin and Nicholas this, which is the book I've just finished. I referred to it in the record from yesterday. Oh, you definitely want to read this, because my wish for things to be perfect doesn't stop me, but I have to fight it. Carry on.
And I think that's really key. I think that's really this perfectionist streak that is very much part of people feeling that they'll be found out to be a fraud, which is really the invalidation of people's successes or the invalidation of what they've achieved in any form, or even just appreciating. If you're a good mother, appreciate that. A lot of mothers don't even appreciate that. So it forms in lots of spaces, and that causes a huge amount of anxiety. But the difference is the people that really suffer are the people that don't go forward. Right. All right. So you know that you are not perfect and you have a perfection streak, but it's not stopping you. All right. No. And it's not stopping you taking the risks. It's not stopping you move forward. But for women, it is much harder in general. I'm not saying that for everyone, but in general, it is much harder for women because of conditioning, because of the way we are biologically programmed. And there is an interaction between those two. We can't deny that exists. But in general, it is about the conditioning overrides everything in towards the end. You know, the fact is, even if you are temperamentally or you do have a hormonal situation that is predisposing you to something, it is, you know, it is about learning how to extend beyond that and be able to have enough confidence, authentic confidence, to know absolutely that you take those risks, you jump forward.
Do you know, it's interesting actually, because one of the things that you're helping me with is potency.world, and there's a TED talk from a lady who says the first brave thing she did in life was at the age of 35, and she cited a HP report that showed that a man will go for a job if he has 60% of the qualifications, whereas a woman will only go for a job if she has 100%, because of the way we're conditioned. Nicholas, bringing you into this before we go to our next break, I heard myself as Shireen was talking. Tell me what you heard.
I felt myself a bit different, because I feel that I had the imposter syndrome, because I was lacking confidence, but I was also lacking the sense of what I was doing. So I was feeling that I was useless and that I was doing things that seemed easy for me. And because they were easy for me, they are no meaning, because if it's easy for me, everyone can do it. So I don't bring value. And that was something that was very, very strong for me for years. But I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm paid for, because everything I'm doing is super easy. Everyone could do that. I don't bring value. And it's only after lots of work on myself and strangely, when I left my company, that I realized how much value I had and how much I was bringing to others, because what I was doing was not actually that easy, because not everyone was able to do it. And it was very difficult sometimes to feel that, like, I can do things, and for me this seemed easy, but no, but that's nothing. I'm not at the right place. I'm not. I should do different. I'm taking someone else's spot because, well, that's easy. That someone else could do that job, and that was something that was really interesting.
I was going to say, the funniest thing about that is that so I don't day by day journal, but I did spend a lot of time doing self-reflection. I wrote this book. It's massive. That's me as a child. Aren't I cute? Now, as I reflected and was able to see myself and the choices I made, I came to a realization that even though things can be easy for us individually, subjectively, I had no idea of the scale of difference between what I thought was normal and what other people thought was normal, until I saw someone with a similar brain pattern as me, and I went, "Oh, that's what I sound like." And that, from that, suddenly came all this meaning. Right, we're going to get into the meat and bones of this tomorrow. Okay. I'm going to reveal a personal truth and let Shireen go to work on my psychology.
No, but I think what's really lovely is what Nicholas said is, often in a fact of, we don't have value because we can't reflect and honor what we're doing and what we're experiencing. And often it's because we're in the wrong place. We're in the wrong place and they are not showing us value and we are not reflecting on that value. Yeah. And until we find where the value sits, often being in a job, if you're not valued as an employee, then what often happens is you don't experience value.
No. And
if things are easy, oh my God.